Here we have, if I can call you and then you can come to the stage, Head of Data Science and Engineering, Chief Data Officer at RBC, Kerry Fazari. Managing Director and Head of Data and Analytics Capability at BMO Tasbir Singh. Senior Director of Technology, Global Wealth Engineering at Scotiabank, Sandeep Agarwal. Three of Canada's biggest bank. Let's have an honest conversation. Thank you, everyone.
Hi.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is not very comfy, by the way. Just give me 1 second. Okay, the first question would be for all of you, so each one, please give me an honest answer. We keep hearing AI is out from the pilot phase. But when we are within the organization, so we would like to know how true it is. How big is the gap between the narrative and reality in the production? Maybe I'll start with you, Kerry.
You mean the pilot?
Yes. So we wanted to know if it's actually in the pilot mode or we have something in production.
So I would have to say, where RBC is, we have gone past the pilot stage. And, but I can't say any more than that. And it's an exciting journey with partnerships across the industry, in the tech industry. So we just recently launched one of our in-house AI capability that is at scale in production. So yeah, I would say RBC is doing quite well in that space.
Perfect.
Awesome.
How about you?
I'm trying to choose my words carefully as well. Can you choose? No, I think we are at, like, not just Canadian banks, but in general at an inflection point. So short answer, it has gone beyond pilot, so it is in production. Is it set up to scale? Not yet. I think the jury's out on that, and that's where sort of conversations like this is helping. But yeah, out of pilot for sure. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, same here, right? With Scotiabank also, we have moved from pilot. Scalability is another aspect which we are looking for to where we can scale it to the enterprise level or not. But of course, we have moved from pilot where we are looking for helping our clients, how they, in terms of risk management, in terms of how we scan our fraud detections, we have gone some use cases around that. Scalability is the key challenge which we are looking right now in terms of how we manage the governance, operational efficiencies, and how we keep the data safe.
Do you see any vision in terms of the scalability or anything within like couple of years or soon enough?
So how I see is that we are past a stage where we know that AI is capable or not. It's where we have to see the landscape of AI is changing very fast in terms of the offerings they offer, how quickly banks can adapt to implement that at an enterprise scale would be something which we have to be watchful. Because we are also governed by a lot of regulators, we have a reputations to match, because what other industries like a tech giant can offer, we can't offer that because we are governed, right, in terms of a lot of regulations and audits. So I think the key challenge would be for us to how we navigate this journey to adopt this in coming years.
Okay. So I want to say AI evolution today is fast, and so is platform. So imagine trying to build a train that is traveling at the same time at top speed. So that's what AI is.
That was a really good example. Kerry, actually, my next question is for you. RBC operates at enormous scales. When you are building one trustworthy data foundation across all of that, what does the fragmentation actually hurt you the most? Is it a legacy system? Is it organizational silos or something else entirely?
So fragmentation is not something new across all banks. There is a reason for fragmentation, and it's not always bad. The downside to fragmentation is actually the technical and the governance debt that it incurs, because governing siloed data systems is difficult. And when it comes to regulatory remediation audit reports. It takes almost all hands on deck to pull all the information together to be able to provide regulators with proper documentation. For example, things like data lineage, transaction testing. So it's a challenge. But at the same time, I'm hearing unified data platforms being the thing. There are risks on both sides, siloed and unified. In the siloed place, it allows businesses to operate more efficiently in some ways because they have context, and context is not necessarily the same across the board. In the unified landscape, you're putting all your eggs in one basket. The risk is immense if there were ever a breach. The blast radius would be enormous. So, is there a right answer to fragmentation or not? I don't know. I don't know.
Do you have any comment to add to it?
See, the way I see here is to part of this question, because I come from technology, so I'll say that we do have medallion architecture where we do keep the raw data and the refined data in different stages, and we have different consumers for that, right? In a way, who wants the raw data, who wants the unified data, and all have their own used business cases to solve. So there are opportunity for us to go in direction, because sometimes we get too much of data, right? In a way, at banks, especially, we have so much of data. So there's no lack of data. The only thing is that how to get a meaningful insight from that data is the key challenge for us.
Yeah. I think I'll use a consulting term. Don't hold that against me. I think the truth lies in sort of our thought process of like a solid core and flex edges. I think the edges have to be flexible because the context is not there, but there is value of having some stuff central, especially around data frameworks. I think that's where, but how big your solid core is a very organizational decision. But I think there's no right answer of complete fragmentation or centralization, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was a good segue to your question, actually, Tasbir. The business wants a speed, regulators wants guardrails. How do you hold both at BMO without killing each other?
Ooh. I'm going to answer in cliches now. I think truly, to move fast or govern, especially in the regulated environment, as Sandeep was saying, is not a choice. I don't think so you can choose one or the other. I think how you proceed in financial services in general is making sure that governance is repeatable, scalable. It's embedded in your actual delivery process, and it's risk-based, right? That's how you can sort of move fast, right? To move fast, we need certain foundations like repeatable, reusable components, patterns that are well developed, and clear lanes with guardrails. I think if the objective is to move fast, which is a requirement for a technology like this, we will have to give teams a laneway to move fast within those guardrails. So to use another cliche, will organizations like ours have to go slow to go fast? Absolutely. Because there is no point in discussing and rebuilding some of that governance for every use case, right? So we have to go beyond that and make sure that we build blocks that go beyond use case and create an environment where teams can do this on a repeated basis. So in BMO's context, what we're doing is, again, haven't solved the problem is, there's an AI framework that we've developed with these reusable components so that every chat agent doesn't look different, right? I think so the nemesis of this technology, in my opinion, will not be governance, but death through 1,000 POCs, right? So if we really want to scale and move, so we've done that part. So as you're developing, do we have a reusable AI framework? And then the other big part is observability, right? So we're building AI observability with responsible AI or RIOps built into it, where these metrics and guardrails are well defined, and flexible enough to be segregated between a control plane and an execution plane, so that we're not limiting what we're doing, but we're doing it consistently, so everybody's going through this controlled laneway at pace. We'll see if it's successful, but I think the thought process is around it has been set, and we're executing on it.
That's great.
I think it's a good idea to have the AI guardrails in place, but that's also very challenging because we see new nuances of different things happening at the same time that is difficult to account for. There's so many different permutations of how AI can be used and how what are the risks involved. So we're still learning at this stage.
Yeah, it cannot be stringent, right? It has to be. That's why we're sort of like calling it guardrails and sort of pure metrics, but
Yeah. Same thing like in our, when we are working on various projects, we feel sometimes frustrating, like the governance or the regulators are slowing us down. I could have gone much faster than it could be. So what we adopted at bank is that we come up with, I was talking with we come up with an innovation zone where we are trying out those experiments before we actually come to the bank network, so that we can have more regulated answers for our auditors or for regulators to showcase that what guardrails we have implemented and how we are going for it. That helped us in moving some cases faster, but we still feel that this governance also helps us in identifying that we don't overexpose our risk, we don't overexpose our customer data, where they are putting this data to the bank at a trust, assuming this is safe, right? So that's where they help us, but to the point which I agree to is that we need a governance model, we need a framework, and that needs to evolve, not start from the scratch every time. And then I'm pretty sure that's where we're all moving towards. And it's an interesting landscape. To my previous comment, like in order to scale, we cannot take 6 months every time to evaluate all the use cases. It has to be rapid-paced, otherwise we will not catch up in the next few years.
Sounds good. And the next question is actually for you, Sandeep. And the wealth management, as you know, is a different word. Personal data, higher stake, decisioning, and of course, demanding clients. What does AI-ready infrastructure look like in the wealth management versus the retail part of the banking?
That's an interesting question. So in a way, how I see, fundamentally, both are, foundation is the data products, be it a retail side or a wealth side, which is driven by the business outcomes, what we are looking for. Yeah, different nature of data products between wealth and the retail. Retail mostly deals with scalability, millions of customer. We have to help them in fraud detection, helping onboarding journeys, customer interactions. Those are the use cases typically built on those retail side. But for the wealth, it's much more deeper analysis to give the client a personal touch in terms of what type of holdings, positions, and they have in a way to help them to give a better insight with the human in loop. That is very important for wealth because, just to an example, a wealth client who has few $1 million will not take an advice from AI robots and say, okay, invest there, right? So we haven't reached to that maturity, and I think that's where the wealth data products and the AI strategy is more deep focused of the data products which we are offering to our models. Because now, model is not a problem, right? We have understood that we have different models. We have Gemini, we have Cloud, they can scale, and they can be tuned or they can be trained to give us the viable outcomes we need. Everything starts with the context you're giving them in terms of how deep your data products are. And that's where wealth needs more focused approach compared to retail. That's how I see this.
Great. Do you have something to add to it?
I think with wealth, like personalizing offers is vitally important. You know, when you open a bank account, they make you sign a whole bunch of papers, and one of them is on sharing of information. This is where some people opt not to share, which is fine. And the ones who do share would eventually benefit from it by getting a very personalized service, because now Banks are highly regulated, so sharing across entities is typically not permitted. That's where the challenge is. Going back to the fragmentation, that is the reason for fragmentation. One of the reasons
Yep.
that it's siloed.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to elaborate in a way that we need deep analysis for the client, like what their natures are, what their assets are, and what is the risk profile, and how they're looking for a customized solution for them compared to retail ones.
That's right.
That you're right.
It's sharing across entities. It's not sharing outside of the bank,
Yeah.
across entities.
Yep, I agree. Actually, Sandeep, you talked about not investing on model, but the data. If you had to pick a single biggest investment at a bank that should be, right now, of course, not AI model, but the data layer underneath of that, what would it be? So I
So
like each of you to actually answer that question.
yeah, so I briefly touched about data products a while, where we need to work on enhancing our data products in a way to make our models more self-sustained to give us better outcomes. But I also feel one of the area where we need to invest is data as a service. Where I call this data as a service, what I mean with that is that we need to find a mechanism where we can give all our operational data to the LLM or our model sooner than the later, for them to detect and give a viable outcome faster than giving a prediction which is different. Just an example, I'll try to give an example in this way. You have 2 retail accounts or 1 wealth account, and suddenly you open another wealth account, and then your risk appetite has totally changed. But if you're trying to assess me based on my previous account, and you didn't take consideration of my new account because it's going to come in T+1 or T+2 days, your model is as good as the data you provided to them. So that's where I think there are a lot of opportunity for us to go for traditional way of data feeding to LLMs or the models, make it data as a service to them.
How about at your organization?
Very, very similar, but I think Sandeep's a techie, so he's sort of more in the detail. Like, I think data as a product, data as services are ways of sort of delivering data. But to your point, like if we had to make one investment, not just within our organization, in organizations in this, it will be, how do you make sure that trustworthy data is governed and accessible? I think that is one foundation. You can call it data service, like create a fabric or mesh of like the technology has evolved. You don't need to physically move data, but how do we combine the valuable data assets in the bank to create something that can be reused in a governed, accessible, secure way to create more AI applications and sort of do that at scale? I think that's where investments need to be if we have to pick one. And there are multiple ways of doing it. Like data as a product is one, data as a service is another one.
How's RBC operating on that?
Biggest investment, I would say, would benefit us the most, I think, is change management. So not from a technology perspective, but change management in the sense that AI is going to be part of our day-to-day, and people need to know how to use it. And so part of it has to be driven by change management, like serious change management has to happen. Upskilling, upskilling skills is all part of change management. That part needs to happen because you can build the best AI solution, and if people don't understand it, don't know how to use it, can't adopt it, it will be all for naught. So,
sounds good. Our last question is that for each of you, think about it. 2 years from now, you come back to this conference, for example, and we ask you, what was the one thing that slowed Canadian bank down the most? Regulation, talent, technology, or something else? So we'd like to know your opinion. So,
You want me to take it? Okay.
Yep.
First, the good part to have smart people on the panel with you is you can take their thought and just sort of build on it.
You are
I
smart
think
enough to do that.
Yeah, but change management. I would say, I think so. 2 years down the line, if you're sitting here, I think the lack of or the inability for Canadian banks to reinvent our business processes. I think if we continue to look at this technology as something that is going to be a tool to gain efficiency, to do things faster, I think we will be sitting behind similar organizations across the world. We have to look at it as rediscovering our customer journeys on how do we do it. Like, this is as big as internet, right? Like, it will change the way we do business, and if we don't look at it like that, I think 2 years down the line, we will be lagging behind other financial institutions across the world. So change management, but not from individual perspective, but how we look at this technology and how we run our businesses.
Nice. Sandy, what do you think?
Yeah, so I know he said me about like on a technology perspective, I'll put
Oh, go
some
for
light
it.
on the technology perspective as well. How I see like in next 2 years is we have to adapt very fast. It's not a choice anymore. It is important for us to adapt in all the spaces, be it the engineering space, be it on the business process side, be on the regulator side. If you don't move all pieces together, then you will be slowing you down, right? Like say, in a way, the way we are implementing with the help of Copilot, the engineering for simplicity, right? The way we used to work is totally different. We cannot keep it the way we are going today. For next 2 years, if we see that we haven't adapted to those tools and we are still doing the boilerplate task the way we used to do, is not acceptable. Similarly, we have to adapt first in terms of how we govern our models, where I'm seeing a risk that the way the subscription model are changing, we haven't seen the actual cost of using the LLM. Right now, it's all very much subsidized, right? In a way, where we will, and I'm seeing some patterns in my organization where we are now starting rationing the tokens to our developers and others. So in 2 years, we have to adapt to a mindset of unlimited LLM use to a defined LLM use and use it. Otherwise, your operational cost will go so high that you will not find the ROI of the investments you are making. So that is the piece which we also have to keep close eye in terms of how we invest our money.
That's true. Carrie?
I would say it's about the foundation, setting the right cornerstone and building on top of that. And what does that mean? It's having a solid data strategy, and then everything can go on top of that. Be your AI strategy, your technology strategy, but the foundation is your data strategy. You can have siloed data, fragmented data, but if you have a solid data strategy that can address and pull all these things together, you're one step ahead of the game. And that's what the Chief Data Office is focused on: data strategy, driving data strategy for the organization, data governance, controls assurance, data quality, and last but not least, AI to manage all of that, to aid humans do their job better.
Okay. We are almost at the end of our panel. Is there anything you would like to add and leave the audience with?
So I think what I would like to say here that AI journey should be, it's a cumulative journey, not a tech journey or a business journey or the operation journey. It's very much there, and it's going to, like it started with a hype, right? Like a few years back when we started on the type where the cloud came in, we all realized that, okay, cloud first, and then we all started moving everything to the cloud to realize that, wait, take a pause and understand it's really merit for us to the cloud. And if it makes sense, do you really need scalable application? You really need, otherwise there's nothing for you, end up piling up the cost, and that's not the best use case. And similarly goes with the AI, right? We all have, I've seen some emojis around that, tons of use cases with the ideas, then what is going to the pilot, and then what is going to production is very less, right? So that's where I think a sweet spot will arrive very soon, where people will realize what is the business outcome or the ROI for the use case we are making, just not fancy to to showcase, because at bank, we believe we are not at, even though we say that we are now a tech company operating as a bank, but we're still different than any product companies or the banks where we need an ROI for all the investment we make.
I would be like, it's an exciting time, right? So keep the hype cycle going. I think if we don't embrace it, we'll be left behind. So embrace it. It won't solve for world hunger, but my one sort of would be that experiment it. Like as Sandeep was saying, like there's a different ROI here, right? There is return of inaction. Like if you're not embracing it, you're not taking it on, we will be left behind. So stay excited and then embrace it, experiment with it. I think we haven't seen everything that it has to offer. So.
One thought I want to leave with everyone is that AI is the hype today, but it's not new. It's been around since early 1900s. What's important to remember is human is at the core. We created it. It was created to serve us. Philosophical thought. But that's what I believe.
Thank you so much. It was a great conversation, and this is exactly what the room needed, I believe. I'll leave you with a couple of things in terms of the data as an infrastructure is the foundation of the AI readiness these days. So you need to ensure that you have a trust, lineage, and enough quality of the data. And of course, the governance and speed can coexist together in a right environment. So we have to make sure to create that environment for that. I would like to thank our panelists and give them the round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Mona.
Okay, now we have a time for Q&A. Just to stay.
We have Q&A. I thought we were out of time. Sorry.
So we have a Q&A.
No questions.
No. So maybe we have the mic
I think
here.
there's somebody in the back.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Christine from Circular Materials. We deal with recycling across Canada. You talk about trust and governance. I feel it's at a 10,000-foot view. What can I take home with some meat and grit, tools, actual things that I can look into versus at that 10,000-foot view? Is there a 1,000-foot view? Generally, because I know you can't explain what your architecture is, but I'm interested to know, how you've implemented that trust factor from pilot to production, because you have controlled data sets in the pilot, and in production, you've got a huge expanded version of that where hallucinations can occur and other things. So I'm interested in more that 1,000-foot view versus that 10,000-foot view, please. Thank you.
Gary's looking at me, so I don't know if he wants me to take it, but I will. So quick examples, right? So from a trust perspective, again, when the three of us are talking about a very regulated industry. So all Canadian banks have a similar strategy of saying one client, right? But today, if I went and asked, as Gary was saying, fragmented, if I ask wealth management how many clients you have, or the bank has, versus I go to ask retail bank, they'll give me different answers. That number is not trustworthy. So that's what we mean by trust, right? Like we call it data as a service or data as a product. So one example is if it's one client, we need to be able to trust that data source that, yes, the bank has 50,000 clients. Your organization has 2,000 workers who's doing garbage collection, right? Like I'm just making up stuff. So that's where the trust piece comes in. And you're absolutely right, the governance will come from sort of the human in the loop and continuous monitoring. Right? It's net new, but when I said AI observability, we have financial components in it, which is sort of token usage and that, but we also have sort of metrics around the guardrails which are changing, right? And old school data governance is still very relevant, right? Like you need to know what data can be used for what and are they the right sources. But like from tools and technology, there are too many available. But I think the constructs have to be, can I trust this data? Is it this one single source of truth? I know you also mentioned the medallion architecture. Like the stuff that DCAM came out on data governance, they're all still relevant. I think those foundations don't change in the AI world.
So I think also answering your question about how do you know you can trust the model for doing what it's doing is what I'm hearing, correct? Human in the loop. There is no way around it at this time, and there will be no way around it in the future either, because AI was built with probabilities. Probabilities means there is a degree of error expected. It boils down to what is your risk tolerance? How much risk are you willing to take to not check? At the same time, to Tesbir's point, monitoring the performance is also critical. So having someone periodically inspect the results and identify where errors have occurred, quantify it.
Okay. Do we have time for one more question? Okay.
Hi, just a quick question. My name is JT, and I have recently joined the RBC X. So if we look at the headlines on a lot of the news recently, when we talk about AI, there's a lot of AI-related layoffs or job cuts. So I wonder from your perspective, like what could we do to ease the fear of people with AI in terms of job changes, and how should we make it more comfortable for everybody?
Change management.
Hey, philosophical questions are yours, right? We're not taking philosophical questions. That's you.
I'm looking at Sandeep.
I can try.
Change management.
Like, I think when you're reading those articles, you also realize that people were clarifying that most of the layoffs are not related to AI, but they're using the word AI to justify the layoffs, right? So in a way, we did overhiring, or the product catalog, like product decisions has changed in a way. So the best way I can say here is that we talked about the hype, right? I know we want to go with the hype, but the best way is to adapt, is to come out with the fear that you can't change the future. You can't control that, right? It is going to change for sure, whether you want it or not. Best thing we can do as an individual, all of us, is to adapt to the new paradigm and understand how we can be a best fit in this ecosystem, because there will be opportunities, and there are some opportunities which are going to be stale. So you have to evolve and adapt to those things.
Thank you. I believe we are out of the time, so we cannot take additional questions. Thank you so much again.
Thank
you. Now we can go?
Yes.
All right.